welcome back to another Star Mini-Gaming YouTube video. This is the first video in a series that I'm starting on some of the tactics of Age of Sigmar. I've heard all too often on the internet that, Age of Sigmar is a simple game, there aren't tactics to it, it's just push your models and roll some dice and that's it, and which is quite frankly untrue. I've spoken about this in some of my earlier videos. Some other channels like Conti, who has kind of started his own tactics series, has mentioned this and has already disproven that theory. And so in this first video I'm going to discuss when to retreat and the tactical advantage of doing so, or at least one example of that. So first off, apologies for the unpainted models. These zombies are currently what I'm working on for the budget of Sigmar, which you can find out more about if you are interested in the linked Google Plus group below. But for this combat, and for this example, let us say that the Stormcast player is going second, so the zombie player has already gone, and it is the Stormcast player's turn. So we are going to see after this, after the entire Stormcast player's turn, we're going to roll for priority. And so right here, we have a choice, a very important choice. Do we keep our Lord Relictor in combat, who is quite powerful, is certainly capable of defending himself, or do we withdraw him, as these are all the models that we currently have left on the table? And while we do have a Liberator Prime and a Prosecutor Prime, if that Lord Relictor falls, then we could be in some serious trouble. And this actually happened in a recent game that I played. We had a squad of Liberators, about 2 or 3 left, and a Lord Relictor, facing off against a squad of Khorne Blood Warriors. And that was all that was left on the table, and basically the Stormcast player had to decide, did he withdraw his Lord Relictor from the combat, who was the most powerful individual model in the combat, to hopefully prevent him from dying and allow him to, cast his lightning arc onto the Blood Warriors, which was the most effective because it inflicts mortal wounds and all. So this does happen, it does come up in real games, and is actually what made me think of this for this video. So if the Lord Relictor stays in combat, he has a chance of dying. So what you can do is you can retreat him out during his movement. Now, once he's done that, he cannot shoot or charge in the rest of this turn. And so we've moved him out of combat, so he will not be participating. So while that does mean that these two are a little bit more likely to die because the zombies are going to only be attacking them, it does give us the chance that if we win priority this upcoming turn, that we can quickly launch lightning into combat and then charge into combat if the odds are in our favor enough, and we decide that that's a good call. Alternatively, because we've moved out of combat, unless both these models are destroyed, which as they're 2 separate units, they will not be, because this is one large enemy squad, and you can only attack one enemy squad at a time with each of your own. There's no way for these zombies to get to him next turn. So let's say that the battle does not go the Stormcast way, and they inflict no casualties, and the zombies manage to kill the Liberator Prime. Well, they're still engaged in combat with the Prosecutor Prime. So even if the zombie player wins priority next turn, if they want to go after the Lord Relictor and they don't really want to continue to deal with the Prosecutor Prime, then they have to disengage from combat. And as I've already said, and if you read in the movement section, if you retreat out of combat, you cannot shoot or charge into combat in your turn. So by moving your Lord Relictor out in this turn, while you have removed him and essentially lost all of his close combat attacks for this one turn, you have prevented, guaranteed for the entire next turn, unless you choose to send him back into combat, you've prevented all these zombies from being able to attack him. So in a very, very late game situation where you might have a commander left that you know, the battle's kind of hinging on does he survive or not, or really any unit. Retreating out can, while other models are engaged in the enemy, is definitely a good way to protect them. So there you have it. It's a pretty short little video. Obviously, you know, it's not a super complex concept. It's just weighing, you know, survival versus the amount of damage that you could inflict in close combat with the particular model or models that you are potentially withdrawing from combat. So that's the first one in our Tactica series. Until next time, this is James, and happy gaming.